so I can see and make it fit in the screen. Why am I telling you that? No, there's no particular reason for that. I made a copy of the PSD file. So I think I'm going to collapse most of the layers that don't. For instance, this one is going to stay. I'm going to ungroup, I think. It's pretty useless now. I hope this layer is fully opaque. I hope there's no transparency in it. I'm going to check it real quick, and with a simple way to do that is to every time I disconnect my Cintiq, the Photoshop windows, modules windows go on my main screen. They don't appear down here. A very simple way to check if there is a transparency and alpha problem with a layer, with one layer. Let's say, like now, I think my sky and clouds layer has no transparency, but I'm not sure. What I can do is create a new layer, put it below my sky layer, and autofill it with a very flashy color. In this case, it's magenta-ish color, and it's very unnatural. It's not. It's really. That I didn't use this color for my picture. So if the layer is not completely opaque, there will be parts of magenta that will pop out in the sky, and this way I can see if there are transparency problems. So I autofill it with Alt, which is Alt suppress, Alt delete. I never know how to pronounce delete, I think. Well, okay, this looks like this, and I put it underneath. If I switch it on and off, I can see no change at all, which means, okay, so the sky is perfectly not transparent, which is perfect. Now, this is intriguing. Oh yeah, okay, I get it. So I can merge. I can put it over here. No, that's not a good idea. Not a good idea at all. This is the base of the house. So I'm going to merge everything that's going on in the background behind the vines. The problem being... Okay, this can go... This is useless. This was a just rapid sketch. A quick sketch. This can go here. Yes, it can. This is background, this is background, and this is the sky. Okay, so I can merge those three layers, I think, by hitting Control E. And there we are. The background, the ground background is just one layer. The dragon now. The dragon is basically already one layer. So the foreground ground, as I'm going to call it, I'm going to rename those just to look more professional. Sky. Sky is alright. Background. Ground. Dragon. Foreground. Ground. Today is PSD Logistics 101. It's really not very interesting. So there are a whole bunch of layers which we don't need, I think. So the horse, for instance, I can collapse all those layers. The problem is I will not be able to differentiate most of like the horse, the lady rider and the hobbit, because as I added some layers, I started working some details on the horse, from the horse and from like the lady's hair on the same layer, so it would be a pain in the ass to separate, and I don't want to do that. I don't need to do that right now. All I can, if I have to paint some details, I will just paint over the whole collapsed thing. So I'm just going to collapse the characters. Okay, so it's quite nice, I think. So remember, it's a poster. Something I didn't check is the margin of error on the sides of the screen. So I'm going to do just that. Select all and select modify. Shit. No. What the hell? What the hell? Border. Okay, let's try with the border. Let's say 15 pixels. It's not much. It's not much at all. No, it's ridiculous. At the scale, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Modify. Border. Let's say 120. 120. That's fair. That's quite fair as a margin, I think. That's maybe a little optimistic if the poster is cut when it's printed. I think it will be much sacked. Now I can expand it by, let's expand it by 50. Please. Oh, yeah. Right. So I think that's more accurate in terms of how much the printing can be off, like at a maximum, and it will. I think if it's printed correctly, it will be printed. Probably the paper would be cut with that much. I think that's something I didn't do. Leave a like. I know I'm talking too much. If you're watching, because I don't know if there are lots of people watching right now, but hopefully you can find this all those info interesting. But basically, my document right now is an A2 ratio, size and ratio, obviously. So in terms of printable pixels, it's 300 dpi dots per inch, and so it's exactly the resolution of an A2 sheet of paper, sheet of paper, not a sheet of paper, a sheet of paper. And so I didn't add a margin of error. Now I'm going to just check something. Check if the margin of error... Oh shit. Oh, don't tell me I... No, what the hell? What the hell is going on? Why are the edges so... Okay, so this is stupid. What I'm going to do, because I'm struggling with stupid Photoshop 101, and I shouldn't be... So, there you go. So I'm going to make a shape, square shape. Hit A, delete, set the fill option to none, and the border option to black, and increase the border. This way, if the picture is zoomed, like if somebody zooms in the window, it will look like this, and it's pretty good, I think. Well, there's not there. If I set it to semi-transparent, that's what it looks like. And no, that's good. That's pretty good. So you see, if there is no capital information, like graphic information, within those borders, so you have maybe the hook. That's kind of that's a claw. The claw of the dragon's left wing, his left wing, would be just on the border, which is not amazing graphically speaking, but it's supposing it's cut with this margin, it would be right on the border of the page, which is not very important. Otherwise, the only thing which is cut out is her foot, her right foot, and it's no big deal because I intentionally left it in the shadow. Well, it's not an important thing. It's here to indicate the the pose more accurately, but that's not very important. Anywho, this is pretty good. Now, about enhancing the picture. So there's something I need to check, and I don't really want to, because I'm afraid I'll discover some huge problems. But I don't think so. You see, this is a poster. This illustration is going to be printed. As I said earlier, it's going to be printed. So I need to check. Right now, I've been working intentionally. That's not a mistake. I've been working in RGB, with an RGB color palette. But obviously, when you're going to print something, most of the time you are going to work in CMYK. So, for those of you who might not be familiar with it, RGB is red, green, blue, which is a digital display color format. It's what any screen works with. Any TV, any tablet, phone, PC screen. It's an RGB model because the LED are composed of red, green, and blue. I'm not a specialist, but basically, when you look closer to your monitor, well, you don't see those, but it's how it works. It combines, every pixel is the combination of 3 light dots, which combined together can replicate theoretically, well, a wide enough range of light and color so that the human eyes, so that it matches the human eye capacity, or I have no other word. CMYK is very different because it's because light, raw light, doesn't work the same when it's on an electrical display, which can generate literally light, and when it's on a printed material. A printed material is like works like paint, like watercolor, gouache, oil painting. It mixes pigments, and it's additive. It's a subscriptive. We don't care. If you know it already, I don't need to explain it to you. If you don't know, you don't care. The point being, there are some colors that you can see on your screen that cannot be printed with a regular printer, or a regular printer. I'm just seeing things that I would like to change. Just make this a little darker over here. Okay, seems good. Maybe a little too dark, I don't know. Okay, let's not touch that anymore. And I'm pretty sure I'm just talking to myself, but so please, if you're watching, just say something in the chat. I don't care. No, you don't have to. It's no obligation. The thing is, when I'm going to switch this comp to CMYK, some colors are going to be translated from RGB to CMYK, and since a printer works with only 4 ink cartridges, which are cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. I don't know why K is 4. I don't know, but it's black. Some colors which are very light or very saturated cannot be replicated by a printer. When you print an RGB image from your computer, if you happen to have a printer in your home, you don't notice it, you don't pay attention to it. But actually, there are some colors that were like taken from a photograph or a video that you can't print, and it's going to make those colors the closest colors on the color range that your printer can generate with those 4 inks. So I don't know if I had a point to make except to tell you how the colors work in Photoshop and when it comes to printing. I don't remember if I had a plan in my head. Anyway, I can switch in Photoshop. I can switch from one profile to the other, going to Image. Just a minute, I received him. Okay, no matter. There's a key combination that can make me switch. I go to Image, Mode, not mod. I'm in 8 bits per channel, and I am in RGB color. And I can switch to CMYK. I know there's a key to do that. First, I'm going to save, because you never know what to expect when you're manipulating the overall image configuration. I'm going to use my mouse for this. So I'm switching. I prefer not merging those. You're about to convert to CMYK with no color profile. This may not be what you intend. To choose a profile, use Edit Convert to Profile. Okay. And I hope now and if I hit Control Z, hopefully, yeah, it just switched me back to my previous settings. So I don't think you guys can see the difference. Basically, what happens is the colors are a little bit more dim when converting to CMYK, and the dark colors are not as deeply dark. But depending on the types of inks that will be used to print this, it might actually compensate the contrast problem. Okay, so I'm going to be so now that I'm sure that it's not a huge deal, and that basically it's going to look fine. Moreover, I know that I'm going to hand it over to another graphist who will be who will be the person who puts a title and all the info, probably things down. I don't know, I'm forgetting you're seeing this and not my main computer. I'm looking at the picture on my main computer. There will be stuff written probably here, there, maybe a logo, 2 logos, a 3rd logo, I don't know. Stuff here and stuff here, like la 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 la. Like this, la 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 la, the date, and something here. This should, oh, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. But this person is the last person who will manipulate the image and send it to the printing company, or print it manually. I don't know actually who's going to do what. Oh, this is a problem, I think. So this layer, I'm going to send it to the garbage. But this color actually is missing here. So this, keep in mind, those are just tiny adjustments that I'm making in order to, yeah, I don't really know why I'm doing this. It's no big deal. It will probably be invisible, or not very visible, not visible a lot in the end. Okay, this is just a tiny adjustment. What was I saying? As always, I start saying stuff and I jump to another sentence and I forget what I'm saying. Anyway, it's not a big deal for me right now. Plus, I'm going to make some adjustments, like something that's bugging me with this illustration. I worked a long time on the characters, and the horse, amazingly, is something I don't want to get back to, because I think it has a pretty good amount of detail, and if I go into painting every little color transition, it's going to take a whole bunch of time, and maybe not feel not feel as painterly looking as it is right now. But I worked a lot on the characters, and then I worked on, and this is a bad mistake, I shouldn't have made it. I then, like just yesterday, painted the vines in the background, so there are problems with the hue, and there are problems down here with the saturation and the darkness of the feet and the legs of the hobbit, which is something I can, and I hope it looks fine, something I can tweak with adjustment layers, like which would be the best. Let's have a level adjustment layer, which I will set to as a crop layer. So what we want to do is to make it darker, have more contrast in the bottom, and you see, obviously, this darkens the whole character horse layer, which is not what I wanted to do, but I can, by hitting Control I, invert the color of the layer mask and paint just with a very smooth brush. I'm going to test to look if it looks, to see if it looks okay. So I'm going to paint in white. I'm going to paint like a gradient like this. So this way there's way more contrast down here. Maybe on his hand too. Yes, it's pretty good this way. That's how you can make subtle adjustments when you're theoretically finished, when you are theoretically done with your painting. And I can't emphasize enough with the subtle part of my advice, because if you, I'm not a big fan of making too much, putting too much effects on your painting. But like you can see, the colors seem way too. They lack a lot of contrast. This is maybe too much. This is probably too much. I'm going to set it to 50%. 50% is fine, I think. Maybe just 50 something is good for me, because there is enough contrast. But now we can tweak it just a little to see if we can accentuate it more, so that the dark areas of the pants. Well, we are in the boring part of the soundtrack, so I'm just going to go back to iTunes and change it. We're going to listen to Halo ODST, which is an awesome soundtrack. So I'm just tweaking my levels adjustment layer, so that the darkest parts of the bottom of my Hobbit are a bit darker, but not too much, because it's not just by bringing up the bringing this handle to the right, which is controlling the darkest point of the pixels beneath this layer, that I'm going to achieve a good contrast. It's also by bringing left this one, and if I wanted to, you see it's lighter. I think it's quite good because it contrasts more with what's behind. Of course, another way to bring some contrast behind him, maybe to make it more readable, is to have a light color. Yep, I'm going to do that. You see, I just painted just a subtle like light green. I took the lightest green I had, and I made a kind of atmospheric perspective, so that the Hobbit is really standing out a bit more, not a lot, but just a bit more. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. Okay, so now what can I don't want to mess up the painterly feeling, so I don't want to go with my smooth like gradient. I'm going to make it. gradient brush and paint all effects all over the painting, because then it will be just like cheap effects everywhere, and I don't want that. I do not want that at all. So let me see. I can try to find areas that would need just a little bit more details, like maybe a belt for this young lady. It's going to be quite tricky. I can surely come up with something like a belt which would be reminiscent of her shoulders. I don't know what they are called, but shoulder things, which we mostly see princes wear in classic fairy tale imagery, but we're not in your regular fairy tale child book. Hope this is not too boring, because today is not very... It's not a very original nor interesting part of the painting. Like, the last details are basically just little tweaks here and there. Like you see, I just put suggested a belt, and I can maybe suggest that like this what can I call it, like this, the border of the shirt, well, I don't know what, the vest, maybe it's a vest. I hit Control Z too early. Yes, I'm going to just work on this a little. All those is not sharp enough. I don't want it to be too detailed, but just have some brush strokes that follow the whole cloth. So I worked in the exact resolution in which the final poster will be printed. This is not a very smart move from my perspective. So why did I do it? Well, I don't think it's going to need more details, because if you work in, it's preferable to work in maybe, let's say, 1.5 resolution. 1.5 is quite fine. 2 times the final resolution is maybe useless, because you're going to focus on details that will be really minor when the resolution is brought down to is divided by 2. But maybe I should have worked on a 1.5 times the scale of the final printed poster. I lost myself in the middle of this sentence, but you get the point, I hope. If you don't, just tell me. So this is just if you're listening right now, I want you to know that I'm aware of my tendency to start a sentence, then keep on painting and finish it or not finish it much later. And this must be so annoying to listen to, and I'm really sorry, because I'm focusing on a whole bunch of things at once. First, I'm focusing on what I'm doing with my pen. Then I'm focusing on what I'm trying to say, and then finally I'm focusing on what I'm saying in English, and I'm kind of processing what I want you to understand. What's the meaning of my sentence, and if it's going to make sense, if I'm going to be able to make it sound like something intelligible in English. And as you can hear, it's a constant struggle. I shouldn't be paying too much attention to this. This is probably a very bad idea. Just repaint this part. Shit. Nope. Not great. That's the major problem with details. You have a general stroke, brush stroke, that can mean something that the eye, that can mean absolutely nothing, but that the eye will get as a perfect thing, a perfect shape or volume. When you get into the details, you add strokes, and if individually those little strokes are not precisely calculated to look like the volume or the shape that the single previous stroke was suggesting to the eye, then you're screwed. You're completely screwed. And obviously, more detail means a lot more work time. It's and you don't always have this time, except if you work really fast. and you're a genius, and you just need one work day to come up with what I did in many more hours. And I know there are people out there that are capable of that. Let's make a blank layer mask, and maybe, just maybe, subtly increase the darkness of the foreground. Like, please. And the corners. This is an adjustment. Keep that in mind. It's just meant to bring things up, bring volumes forward, add depth at what you're doing, to what you're doing. Like I can put it there, maybe there. Nope. Not too much, I said. Not too much. Because when you start doing that, you end up wanting to put contrast to bring contrast to everything, and you're screwed in the end. You can't do anything else but keep on going, keep on drawing. The question I'm asking myself is now, do I sign my work? I think I'm going to do it. What I'm going to do is just... Yes. Use this margin, actually. And just... sign it. The 16 is for the year. And Val is my username as an artist, as you know, as you might know, depending on where you're watching me. If you're looking at the stream on YouTube or watch me work, you know my username is Val, which is the short version for Valentin, which is my first name. Right here in the bottom left corner, right corner. It's a bit too huge. Let's put it... Nope. Let's rename it sign. With the margin, it's really popping in a lot, I think. Just going to... Oh, screw it. Just there. It's not too obvious, but you can see it. Okay, so I'm trying to think about like small, very little things that I could tweak, but subtly. One thing I could try is flip the background first. Let's try this. Nope. First I'm going to, because any operation is possibly destroying pixels. Flip horizontal. Oh, not so bad actually. Not so bad. Why not so bad? First, there's the light problem. You see there the... I just use this and a very obvious color like red. The overall light is probably coming from that direction. This is this way, but going this is a 3D arrow which is pointing towards the left and the down left, and also the background. You see what I... If you understand this shape, you see what I mean. So it's... Then I play with the laws of physics to make a picture that is good looking before being physically correct. But the problem I have with my first with my clouds in the background is that there's not much there are not much. No, I'm losing myself here. Anyway, if you the part of the clouds that is the lightest suggests that the light is actually coming from here. You can see the shadow. Maybe you can't see it. There's a subtle shadowy part. It's like the clouds are like this, and the shadow is here. And the problem is from the information that I painted on the rest of the picture. The light is coming from the left, from the right, not from the left. So if I just flip my clouds, and suddenly it's much more coherent, because it seems that the clouds are correct now. Just going to flip it, deselect, and now the light is coming from the right side, literally the right side. So I'm going to go with this, maybe just new layer, take my watercolor brush and no, it's not good. What I can do is make another adjustment layer, use curves, make a handle, put a handle here, here. Okay, no, it's not very good. It's really, really exaggerating everything. What if I tweak it? Okay, no, it's not, maybe not, but I like the blue. Let's see. The new blue is better, so I'm going to keep it like this. And oh no, shit. Yes, of course, when I do that, You see, this is these are brush sky-colored brush strokes that I painted earlier. Yes, actually we don't care about these because I'm going. Since I flipped the background, the sky, I have to go and erase them, which is going to be a little bit tricky, but manageable. Of course, if I go with this brush instead, it could lead to a much better result. I could just paint over with the right color instead of erasing it, but that's basically the same at this point. Alright, this is quite good, I think. Okay, so this is looking pretty good, I think. There are maybe the Hobbit could be tweaked a little more. Maybe. I don't know, I don't really feel like doing it right now. Just going to check something. So it's been 1 hour since I started the stream now. Like, really started the stream. The stream, not the scream. What the hell? So the problem is now I can't do much without knowing what I must do, because I'm not focused enough. I could just... No, this amount of detail is fine by me. Of course I can keep zooming in and out forever, but I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do now is, well, let's call it a day, and 1 hour day. God, this music is epic. I never played the game, but the music is the main reason why I want to. Why I wish I had. What I need to do now is just save first. We often forget it, but that's the most important part of our routine as an illustrator. As illustrators, should I say. Well, I think I'm okay with this. With the state the illustration is at right now, and the only thing left for me to do is to send it to the people who asked me to do it, and see if they have particular questions or requests, like perhaps the space I left above the dragon is not high enough. Maybe I should try zooming, or on the contrary, expand the borders a little bit, zoom out, paint everything that should be in this area, and maybe. So I can't know before I ask them. And since it's going to take them at least a day, I think, to tell me what they think about it, if they see anything problematic or something they would like to change, I guess it's going to be over for tonight, and I'm just I'm saving it. I'm making a JPEG out of it. Maybe not a JPEG, maybe a PNG. It's going to be huge. Just a JPEG for the previs, and that will be all for tonight, folks. Thanks for watching as usual, and this was just mainly a commentary stream. Hope the people who are here to watch this got the opportunity to learn some really basic stuff, because all I did was blabber about Art and Design 101, Photoshop 101, and Printing 101. But those things are really, really important to keep in mind. So hope I helped you get an idea about what's the point of being aware of CMYK and contrast and stuff. I'm going to stop talking right now because I'm like in a tunnel of which I can't escape if I keep talking about the illustration. So I'm going to switch to this scene, close this window, and wish you a very good day. If you're in the United States, basically, or in America, in North, South, Middle America. Do you say that? Mexico, basically. Wish you a very good day, a very good night, or a very, very good afternoon, or evening, or morning. I don't know. I can't know where you are, if you are. And see you at least next week. Next week will be a new project. I don't know what exactly, because if I'm finished with this illustration, I don't know what I'm going to stream. This will be a very good question to answer next week. And see you soon, guys. See you soon.